Hey guys, my name is Matt and welcome to Cobb Hill Farms. When we were getting our first cutting hay in, we had one field that had a bunch of trees that had blown into the field and were laying down that we had to cut around to get our first cutting hay done. Well, now that we got all the hay cleaned up from that field, we're going to go up with the New Holland TC35DA, and I'm going to take a chainsaw and I want to try to push all those down trees back and clean everything up. So that way when second cutting rolls around, we got a nice clean field to work with. So that's what we're gonna get started on in today's video. So after getting about 15-16 acres of first cutting done, we ended up with 91 round bales. About half of those round bales ended up in here in the addition. There's 48 round bales in here. There's 17 round bales here stacked at the end of the cattle barn in between the cattle trailer and the gooseneck. These will be the ones we feed out first, because they are outside. And the remaining 26 bales are right here in the top of the old barn. We make 4x4 round bales. That size really seems to fit our operation well. They fit nicely on the gooseneck trailer. You can put them too wide without any hanging off. The New Holland handles them really well. So you know, if we went with anything bigger, then they wouldn't store in the barn as nice. And the laneway to get to the 10-acre field has got a couple switchbacks. And with the way the trees and everything are up there, I think it would just cause more of a problem trying to get them off the hill. So 4x4 round bales, I think, is where it's at for us. To put a new water pump on the New Holland while we were hauling out round bales. I started hearing a little bit of a noise under the hood, and after a little bit of investigation, I found the water pump bearing was starting to get bad and had a little bit of play in the fan. So I kind of babied it along for a few days to help get bales unloaded, but then after that I didn't use it a whole lot, and luckily we were able to get the water pump replaced and get a service done on it before anything catastrophic happened. Tree move. If I don't have to cut them up, I'm not gonna. a quick, easy way to clean up an old messy tree. Now when we were up here cutting hay, I forgot to mention something. I found a casualty. I'm not sure what that is. I have a hunch it might have been a baby fawn. But when I started cutting hay, in and around this area there was a lot of matted down grass. And somewhere out in here there was the back end of something. I really couldn't tell what it was, but I mowed over it and kept mowing. And then when I was up here tedding the hay out is when I noticed the skull to whatever this is. And you can see over in this area where it's all matted down compared to the rest of it, something makes this a high traffic area. So in this field there was a lot of that. There was a lot of, you could see where the bed down spots for the deer were, but then there was these large, great big areas. And something, like I said, made its feast right here in this area. I almost need to get a camera up here to see what goes on when there's not eyes watching. Oh yeah, and Mike, if you're watching, the bucks I've seen up here, 5 or 6 big ones. Horns wider than the ears already. Well, looks like I picked up a little debris. I want to check the water pump on this. Well, Look at it from the other side. I don't see any leaks. Fan's nice and tight. The other day I had to put a new water pump on the New Holland. When we were moving round bales around here on the farm, I started noticing a little bit of a vibration and every once in a while a tinging noise underneath the hood. So I popped the hood, and with the engine off, I grabbed a hold of the fan and I could move that fan shaft around, I think to the point where the fan was just starting to hit the fan shroud. Needless to say, the bearings and the water pump were on their way out. It wasn't leaking externally, so I ordered a water pump and I babied it for a few days because the last thing I wanted was that bearing and that water pump to grenade, that fan shaft come out of there and take out the radiator, because that would have been an expensive repair. But luckily that didn't happen. We put a new water pump on it. It was time for a service, so I changed the engine oil and filters and hydraulic filters as well. Checked all the fluids, topped everything all off, so she should be good for another year. Let's see what's going on in here. Batch number 4. Last Tuesday we had another batch of Cornish cross baby chicks show up. This is batch number 4 of 6 for this year. They're all healthy, doing well. They are in our 4x8 foot, 2 foot high brooder. Right now they only have half of it, but probably the next day or so they're growing well enough and it's been warm enough out. I'm going to open it up so they can have the whole thing. They'll have the full 4x8, so they'll have a little bit more room. This brooder setup works really well for us. When we move a batch of birds outside, we can pick this whole thing up and take it outside, clean all the bedding out of here, let it dry, and then we can put down new bedding. And it works really well. It's portable. We can put it anywhere, and when we're done with it for the season, we can just unbolt it and store it up over there along the barn wall. It doesn't take up any space. And if we need to, which we're going to need to, we're going to be adding another brooder, because at the end of August, not only are we going to have broiler chicks, but we're also going to have 50 more of these ladies showing up. We're going to have about 10 replacements for, I believe, some of the Buff Orpingtons. I believe they're going to be aging out, so we'll be calling them from the herd here, or the flock I should say, and replace them with Americanas, I don't remember, Bardrocks. I think we got Bardrocks. We got 25 Bardrocks and we got 25 more white leghorns, I believe. You know, I don't know. I don't remember what breeds I ordered now. I'll have to look at that and get back to you. But either way, why are we adding more chicks? Because 75, 80 birds just ain't enough. We're not keeping up at farmers market. Yes, it doesn't help that we added a second farmers market, so we're taking all the eggs we have and splitting them in half and taking them to 2 different markets. But we're selling enough off the farm as well that we just, we didn't take any eggs to our Saturday market last week because we only had 4 dozen to take, and it wasn't worth taking them because they would have been gone in 5 minutes. So it was just one of them things where we decided to withhold them, and we'll take them this week. And I guess it's a good problem to have when you can't keep up with your demand. But at the same point, I don't like to run short either. But so later on this month, we'll have 50 more coming. We'll grow them out, and that should put us somewhere in the 120 bird range when it comes to our egg layers. this box of birds are the only ones that are getting grain tonight. That other box, the larger birds, are going to get butchered tomorrow. Well, some of them are going to get butchered tomorrow. So the remaining birds that are left will get grain in the morning. We withhold their feed for 24 hours before butchering in hopes that their crop is empty and their stomach doesn't really have anything other than whatever grass they eat in it. It helps for a little bit cleaner butchering process as far as what comes out the back end. So, like I said, whatever birds are left from after we decide which birds we're going to process, the ones that are left will get fed tomorrow morning. I think it's about time for a new nozzle. Gotta have it just right for it not to leak or spray water. Well, I'm gonna go finish up some chores. Cleaning up those trees is something that happens all year round. We have a lot of dead ash trees that are starting to fall. Well, not starting, they have been falling for a number of years now. The emerald ash borer have really gotten to them, and I mean, I don't think there's a single live ash tree here. It's just a matter of when are they going to fall. One thing that did surprise me cleaning up those trees in the hayfield was that group of sumac trees. Not really sure why they fell. They look pretty shallow rooted. The trees were obviously healthy. They still had leaves on them. So we must have had some heavy winds at some point up there on the hill. I know up there it does get a good breeze. If you enjoyed today's video, give it a thumbs up. If you like our channel, as always, we ask you to subscribe. I hope you have a great rest of your day. We'll see you next time.